government has not transmitted, it definitely is not there, a clear plan on how to handle this thing. The plan in the beginning has been just stay home, please, and we'll figure out what to do. And now the plan is, let's hope that if you get out and go back to work, things will more or less be under control. I mean, they have defined some rules to be followed in the workplace, in the local transport, but there is still no serious testing strategy, no clear way to handle sick people unless they are in serious condition. So people is really skeptical. Still, they go out.
Okay. So what is the level of restriction on your movement? Can you go out anywhere at any time?
Now, yes. Since Monday, we can go out whenever we want, except we cannot cross our regional boundaries. Italy is divided into 20 regions, and we can't get out of our region for now. This will probably be removed in the next 14 days as well. Unless, I mean, you can only go if you are very, very serious reasons like medical conditions, but that's the only exception.
Okay. And schools, have they reopened?
No, and that's a very big problem. And currently they say they are hoping to reopen schools in September. We typically start in September in Italy, but still no clear plan. And this is a big issue because schools have obviously tried to do online lessons, but there was no clear strategy even there, that everything has been left to the initiative of the teachers, and in hoping that all kids had some way to connect. But while that's been mostly the case, poor families have been left behind. And so poor people, the kids, have not been able to attend school for almost 3 months. So that's definitely a terrible thing. And the government has done a lot of things to help business people in general, but nothing for this. And I'm really upset by this.
I guess that takes me on to the economy. What's your sense of the impact on the economy?
So the IMF is forecasting a 9% drop for Italy in the GDP for this year, much more than the average of the other European countries. Our economy was already a bit struggling. So now we have 7-8 million people in, how do you say, redundancy fund, something like that. They are not working, but they being paid a percentage, like 70% of the wage by the government. But in terms of aid to the business, things have been really slow to get started. We have a lot of bureaucracy in Italy, and this is really slowing everything down. So while people have been exempted to pay taxes and also business for a couple of months, still very little percentage of people and businesses got the government aids to survive. And now that shops have been, like also restaurants and bars and pubs have been allowed to reopen, many are not reopening because they either already out of business or the rules for letting them open are too strict. And they say, no, if I can only let 10 people, say, instead of the 50 usual in my restaurant, that's not convenient. So I don't reopen.
Okay. And for your own business, what's been the impact?
Well, in March, all of a sudden, we went to full speed to zero in a few days. And all March has been like that, zero. We didn't add any invoice sent to our customer. Uh, Around April 10, 15, things started to got moving again. All companies, especially most of our customers, are uh, in a kind of business that allow them to have people work from home. So it took a bit more than expected, but after slightly more than 1 month, we started working again with our customers online. Every person was at home working, and we as well. And we have been able to start again coaching and training. Obviously, we need to adapt our way, but luckily, as you know, our approach was already uh, structured in a way that makes switching to an online context uh, easy enough and very effective. So,
Okay. And in this whole thing of the, if we stick to the work side, well, mainly to the work side, what have you seen that is now different? And maybe things, if we try to look at it as a positive spin, what are things that you have seen happen, that you've observed, that you think might persist, that might be better than how we did things in the past?
yeah. So first of all, one thing that we as coaches and trainers have immediately noticed, but also the people we were interacting with, is that working online is much more um, stressing and tough on your mind and even on your body. So activities that could take a whole day in the past, now we need to reduce them to half a day, for instance. So for instance, trainings that we did in 2 full days, we now do in 4 half days, because it's too difficult, too stressful for the people, both us and the people in the companies, to keep focus 8 hours being online. Is much more, and it's not bearable. An unexpected, I would say, learning, and this changed everything, obviously. Then people and companies realize that working remotely is doable. It works. It can be done. We, at least in Italy, we are a very uh, uh, we have very small business, a lot of small business in Italy, led by an owner, maybe an old guy with very old-fashioned ways of thinking on how to run a company. And for instance, the idea of not controlling everyone and not being able to see what they are doing, if they are cheating or lazy, is something that, at least for this kind of companies, was kind of crazy. But now they had to do it, and they realize, oh, wow, it works. And so I think this will not persist. In terms, people will go back to the office, to the factories. But I hope that this idea of the obsession of controlling people and not trusting them to be able to work, even if they are not under the lens and under the eyes of someone controlling them, still will be feasible. And that's what I hope. To be honest, maybe we'll discuss this later. I'm not too optimistic on what we will learn from this, but maybe we can talk about that later.
Okay. All right. Is there anything else that you think is interesting that you can share from your Italian perspective, that we should know or learn or be thinking about?
Well, in terms of managing the spread of the virus, obviously, I think you know, but this has happened more or less everywhere. Then residential and nursing homes are the place where the worst thing happened. So that's where you should, as a country, be particularly careful. Then I don't know about these leaving poor families behind in terms also of people, kids attending school online, but that's definitely something really uh, sad, I would say. Then initially here in Italy, we had this solidarity, compassionate people trying to help each other. But this, after a while, turned into something bad. People expressing hate online, but not only, hard feelings, resentment, both against the government, but also against, they needed sort of a culprit. At one point, it was the runners. Oh, these guys go out and spread the virus to everyone. Now there's a lot of debate about wearing masks. And while everyone knows that wearing a mask when you're alone in the country makes no sense, still there's some kind of obsession. Why are you not wearing a mask? You are in the mountains alone. No, you should wear a mask. That's completely irrational. But this kind of irrationality and finding a culprit is really persisting. And so, and so we had all these, oh, we will never be like before, hoping it's in a positive way. I'm not so optimistic. I think we will go back to where we were, even with more hatred and uh, resentment. But I hope to be wrong. And again, sorry, as you know, we always talk about in our business, in our work, about changing, resilience, and all this kind of stuff. But never like in this case, we saw that the need for certainty, the need for recipes at all levels was so felt. And then I stopped. As an anecdote, I say that at one point, one of our politicians, one of our government people said, I pretend scientists to give us certainty. What the hell? So everything is unknown now about this virus. And so how the hell you can pretend certainty? So
yeah. Okay, Joe, you've been picking up some questions. Let me hand over to you.
Yeah, so I've got some questions from the chat. So one question was, how have you seen organizations adapt? Is there anything that stands out for you, or things that you've seen in remote work, or just in general, how have organizations started to adapt to this new way of working, a new way of being?
Yeah, so, well, obviously there's a big difference between organizations that build real products, I mean iron and mechanical stuff, devices, physical stuff that obviously need people to go to work and do work with their hands and whatever, with their bodies. In that case, many has closed initially, have closed, and now, and that, but also the one that started to go back to work soon after the initial lockdown. Still, they have introduced very quickly a lot of measures to protect people, and this has been surprising because this happened very quickly. But again, this happened mostly not thanks to our government, but thanks to the initiative of the owners, the entrepreneurs, and also the people themselves, because obviously everyone wanted to go back to work to get money to survive. So there was a lot of involvement by everyone to make things compatible with the work. For companies that have more kind of knowledge work products, everyone went immediately remote. The problem is that everyone started to do the same things, only remotely. and it's taking a while to understand that probably we need to change something. The thing about the timing, that not being able to survive 8 hours online every day is just one, but the way to interact, the tools that support your interactions obviously need to change. And that's basically most of what we're doing with our customers, helping them to change to a different, more effective way of working in this. Because everyone would like to do everything like before, only that's not possible when you're
remote. Yeah. And what innovations have come up? What cool innovations have you seen? I heard somebody say the other day that there was that they had heard about a hairdresser friend of theirs that was selling her time teaching people over Zoom how to cut their partner's hair. And I thought that was really clever and really very innovative. So have you heard of any kind of stories around cool innovations that have come up in Italy?
Yeah, I mean, that's one. We also had here having, for instance, I experienced my wife doing that twice on me, and the second thing was much better. Yeah, and she tried to learn online. Yeah, there's been a proliferating, as you say, of online, I teach you this, I teach you that, but also a lot of, I'm not referring to work and professional life, but to everyday life, a lot of online parties, online discos, online dinners, everyone doing his part and sharing virtually with the others. And yeah, that's been fun. But again, going back to work, the only thing that I've seen is introducing new tools to make your online life better. And some are very effective one, like the one we are using and we share. Besides Zoom, oh, by the way, Zoom had some issues with some companies because of privacy and hackers. And so some companies, at least in Italy, now forbid using Zoom. And so you have to adapt to different tools that anyway, more or less do the job, even if not so easily and happily like with Zoom. So Miro, for instance, has been one of the tools we are using more to create these virtual boards and virtual environments where people can share what they are doing and interact with each other very effectively, almost like working with a real board and real post-its.
And I have one more. Do you know of any options that the government has experimented with for low-income families and communities? So you were talking about the low-income children, and has the government tried to do anything or experimented with anything?
Yes, they keep talking about a special fund, special aids for these people, but they're so slow. There's everything, I mean, they keep fighting more a political battle and struggling, fighting for power, even if this situation. And so, yes, they keep saying, we will help, but up to now, nothing concrete has been happening. For instance, there was a decree, you say a decree from the government, that was supposed to get out on April. It was called the April Decree, and it has been signed out 2 days ago. So, and we still don't know what will be the effect, how long they will take from the bureaucracy point of view to be put.
So bureaucracy is still bureaucracy no matter where you live in the world, right?
Yeah, and obviously in this situation gets worse because you need to act quickly, and that's not what's happening.
Thanks, Gaetano. Thanks very much. We want to shift our gear now and put everybody into some breakout rooms so that